Now we're going to go over the control system for the economy T-Corker. When you power the machine up, this will be the main screen that you see here. A couple of things you got along the left-hand side are going to be the master switches for the machine. The cycle button is what you're going to push to initiate the cycle. The cork press button, if you turn this off, it will completely disable the cork press. The conveyor, turn that off, it'll completely disable the conveyor. And then the barrel reject button down here, if you turn this on, it enables the barrel and the rejector to turn off and on based on the logic from the cork available sensor and the cycle. And this will automatically turn on the vibrator in the track for the corks as well. Down along the bottom here, you have an alarm bar, so any active alarms will be shown here. Any that don't clear automatically, you can use the reset alarm button. In-feed container count, this is going to display the container count as it's moving in cycle, and containers per minute will display the containers per minute of the last complete cycle. Along the top of the screen, you have a couple of optional pages that you can go to. If I click the setup page, this will be where I'll turn on functions that I want to utilize of the machine. The indexing, I can select pin indexing, which is standard, star wheel indexings, which would be an optional function, or I can turn it off, which in this case, if I ran a cycle, it would not index my containers at all. It would just simply stomp the cork down. So typically you're going to have this set to pin indexing, and the locator down below is going to be either an auto or off. Typically this is going to be an auto, which will enable or disable the locator that'll push the container into place to be corked. Also at the top here, I have the ASU. If I click that, it brings me to my pin indexing ASU. There's another video on how to run these, but ultimately you're going to push a container up against the entry pin. Once you have all the mechanical adjustments made, you'll have a couple of containers behind that container. You'll have your eye counting on usually the container up against the entry pin, but it could be in several different places. You'll hit start ASU index. That will open the entry pin, turn on the conveyor, move it into the zone. Once it reads the next container, it will close the entry pin, shut off the conveyor, and display an exit duration time here. If everything looked good, you push save and you move on. I can push the setups button up at the top. That'll bring me back to the prior page we were on. Up here, you also have an I/O screen. This is going to show all the inputs and outputs on the computer. So once you see these, you'll be able to do any diagnostics that you're needed to see if your sensors are working, outputs are working, and so on. Going back to the setup screen here, I also have a login screen. The only thing really useful after the manufacturer setup is this does have a delete all recipes tab. So if you want to delete everything and start from scratch, you can select that and it'll clear all of your recipes to a fresh start. If I go back to main, my next tab is going to be the manual tab. This will allow me to manually toggle operations on the machine. This is going to be for setup, diagnostics, several reasons you would want to use these. Everything on this screen resets to auto except for the conveyor. So if I select the conveyor to run, when I leave this screen and come back, this will stay on run, or if I have it on auto. So auto will start and stop during the corking process, and if it's on run, it will just run continuously no matter what. So typically you're going to have this on auto in a corking process. That way it doesn't push down on the conveyor while it's trying to move. You can also do entry pin, exit pin, barrel and the rejector, locator, and the cork presser. Once I go back to the main screen, my next thing is going to be my timers tab up here. If I select that, it's going to give me all my options to set my timers for my automatic modes. So entry delay, this is going to allow for the gap between the corked container and the incoming container. The in-feed count will be how many containers you want to count going into the zone. On our standard T-Corker, it's 1. Count sensor on delay. This will be how long, once the container moves in front of the count sensor, does it have to see it before it moves on. This helps eliminate any sort of miscounts that you might get from glass bottles vibrating on the container, on the conveyor. So usually half a second. Exit duration, this is going to be how long does it take for your bottle to move from the entry pin to the exit pin. And then the cork press delay is once those containers have moved underneath the cork, how long do you want to wait before you dive down to press the cork in to let everything get located and in place. Cork press duration is how long do you want to hang down at the bottom of that cork press to make sure that cork actually seats fully. If I hit next up here, bring me to my next screen here, which is exit retract, delay a new cycle. This will be once you have corked, how long do you wait before you open the exit pin to bring the next containers in? This is if you got a really long duration. Sometimes you want to give just enough time for that corker to get up out of your way and the locator get out of the way. Backup on delay is going to be how long does a bottle have to block the line backup sensor before it holds the indexing from releasing any new containers. Cycle reset delay, once everything's done and it's ready to kick out the corked container, how long do you want to wait before you do that? So typically people use this if they have a slower machine down the line, or if you're hand placing your containers into your boxes, you can slow the machine down here. The barrel on delay timer is going to be how long after the last cork passes the cork available sensor, how long do you wait until you turn the barrel and the rejector back on? So the barrel off delay is going to be the exact opposite. Once the barrel refills the cork track and the sensor is made for the cork available sensor, how long do you wait to turn it back off? So if you want to create a little bit of a backlog there. Cork sensor on delay is how long does the cork sensor have to be blocked before it moves on and tells the barrel to do what it wants to do. Then we can go back to the main screen from there. And we can move over to the recipe tab. So once I have everything set up the way that I like it, I can come to this screen and say I have several different corks. I can make my mechanical adjustments, and I can come back and I can select whatever recipe number I want here. If I want to select recipe number 2 and enter there. Once I come back, I can save this data for use later. And then if, say, I want to come back later and I want to come back and load recipe 2, I would enter recipe 2 again, and then I would hit load for use now. And then that'll populate all of my timers and setup tabs back.